Hi, my name is Vishesh Rajaram. I'm a co-founder at a fund called Speciale Invest. We're a science and tech focused venture capital fund, investing in founders in day zero and working with them through their journey of building product and taking it to market. We look for opportunities which puts India on the map and opportunities where you're building futuristic technologies from India for the world. Arjun and I are the two founders at Speciale Invest. The philosophy that builds and binds us together is really love for entrepreneurship and the deep desire to be building something which is hard to build, both as a firm that we're building as well as the founders that we work with. And a subset of that is also to see what are avenues that you can build from here, from India, that not only addresses an India need but solves a global problem. We're largely investing 0 to 1 or pre-seed or seed. In all times, our money is the first money the company raises. And our money is used to build technology and product, which means you're taking very high risk in the stage that you're taking, and you're far away from revenues, but there's enough validation to show that the technology that you build could be very meaningful, and that could lead to building a very profitable business sooner. The sectors that we focus on are also sort of derivative of what I just outlined, which is what works for India, what does the world need. And we've sort of broken it down into 5 broad categories. Energy is one of them, right on the top. Of course, there's a lot of research from the likes of Morgan Stanley and others that talk about the per capita energy consumption in India in its current form today and how that's going to expand quite significantly. That, of course, will further be augmented by needs around data centers or AI or other things. And therefore, the need to solve for energy is a big immediate one, and we've got investments in those that look at fossil fuel transition. We've got investments in those that look at creating energy storage. So we're investors in a company called Ultraviolet. They make motorbikes for India, for Europe. We're investors in a company called E-Plane Company. They're India's first eVTOL or urban mobility transportation company. We're investors in a green hydrogen company called New Trace. And our most recent investment is in a company called Anubal Fusion, which has a big vision of building reactors for nuclear energy. And if you were to build it, then you're solving a big problem for humanity. Another subsegment is space, where we're really looking at accessing space to monitor Earth better. And therefore, we've got investments in rockets, investments in companies that make satellites, investments in companies that are looking to maintain satellites in orbit, and so on. The third category, which again puts India on the map, is again very pertinent to the current decade, is that of advanced manufacturing. Therefore, areas around semiconductors, areas around security, areas around robotics and automation are all areas we've made investments in, Sindler, Mindgrove, and a few others to name. Health is an important area of focus. We've done some, not a lot. We've made a few investments, one out of C-Camp called Pepris, which is looking to save lives by discovering drugs smarter, faster, better. We have another company called Firmbox, which is a precision fermentation company that makes materials again for energy, for food, and for cosmeceuticals. And the last piece we're of course very actively spending time on is to see the impact of AI on the industry and make investments allied to that. So those are sort of the 5 areas which again sort of very centric to what India can build, but not just for ourselves, but for the rest of the world. And that is, I think, a very key ingredient in sort of how we look at helping founders build companies. So there's a large part of me which is a trained optimist. So it's, whenever you look at what can be done better, there's a part of me that thinks half glass full is a great state to be, as long as the glass size is improving and is still half glass full, right? I think from that vantage point, I don't think I have a list of these are the 3 things that needs to get done. There are a few positives that have really panned out in the last 3 to 5 years, which are, I think, sector-specific programs that enable startups to raise some capital or enable startups to access customers such as the IDEX for defense or the India Semiconductor Mission for semiconductors or in space for the space sector. I think the country is large enough, the opportunity is wide enough that the best way to tackle this problem is to go grassroots and look at sectors as against trying to solve it at a larger pan-economic level. So if there's one thing that the policymakers could do more is to identify more of these subsectors and try and programmatize that. That's a great place to be, I would think. So as I delve into the sector that we operate, which is really early stage venture capital, I think the opportunity has never been better. Of course, I've been operating in this sector now for the last 18 years. A few big changes. I don't think failure is a stigma anymore. I don't think entrepreneurs really worry about what happens if I fail. Will I get a job? What will society look at me at? I think that's a big shift from 2 decades ago to where you are today. And success breeds success. So all of the startup success that we've had in the last 10, 15 years is really propelling more people to think about coming out to really build companies. And I think that's another big plus. And the result of these is that more people willing to come out to build something and to take the risk. The other trend, which is not so obvious, is just the impact of academia on innovation. And again, historically, academia was evaluated on the number of papers and publications you build. And today, I think there's a very healthy shift towards saying, are you also generating jobs? Are you building companies? And I think the top technology institutes allow for academicians or researchers to even go on a sabbatical for up to 3 years to go build a company. And that has now created an avenue for industry and academia to interact and to create some path-breaking technologies. And this is exactly what happened in North America 4 decades ago, which sort of led to some of the biggest innovations of Lockheed Martin or Qualcomm, some of these other big companies that essentially came out of the convergence of academia and industry, which I think is a big trend that in hindsight that we're actively looking at. Of course, when we started, we sort of built upon this very serendipitously. But I think that's the big opportunity here for this country. Now that there is knowledge base and there is innovation capability, how do you really marry that with industry needs? And I think there's a big opportunity coming its way on that. And I think from a capital standpoint, India is a great destination for capital relative to where the rest of the world is. There's a very stable government, the policies are stable, it's a fairly vibrant economy. So I think from a destination of capital vantage point, we are very strong, and I think that's there's enough evidence for the sort of capital that gets invested in this country, both in public markets as well as in the venture world. And I think that's only here to stay. So some of these other new opportunities will only expand as the destination continues to stay the way it is.